will be a tenant. And I would expect that even the House of Rep and local House of Assembly, as soon as they arrive there, they'll say, let's put AC in all our prisons, let's be serving them, let Sheraton be the ones catering, because they know they're going to move there from office. But they won't do it. What will happen? Let me tell you what will happen. People will make their children change their names, or they will say their wives are separated from them and move those children to the UK and say, well, I can't force her, she has custody of those children. So, and then if you want to push that kind of thing through, because the people you want to push it through are the ones that will be affected, believe me, nobody's going to listen to us. But these things will evolve with time. And I really do not think, that's why I gave the example of my cousins, I really do not think it is fair on anybody to force them to send their children. The lawyers will tell you for free that it can't even work because you are infringing on fundamental human rights.
But in that case, you will not accept that process.
No, people would. No, I don't want us to get into. I'm just saying that as an advocacy group, I do not want us to start with hurdles that are too high. You know, the more successes we have, the more encouraging we'll be, and the more people will join us. But you're going to go and tell governors, when I know that I'll be affected, and I look around, there's no single school my children can go to. But the government will pay every senator and legislator that they won't even listen, you won't even you write letters, and there it will die. I don't mean to engage you in an argument, but believe me, I've tried one or two things in this country from the low level, and I think by now I understand people in government better.
Things away from here that we can begin to work upon. I think this morning we've at least taken two, the power, the education, so at least we've made some progress.
I've been in government office before, and I was there for 8 years, so I have an idea of what you're trying to say. However, my approach has always been keep it simple and stupid. Each time a person is going to go into public office, the question is, well, you're going to be commissioner for education, you're going to go to the house. Let's walk through the legislators who are going to interview them. During the time they come for screening, the question is, how many children do you have in public schools? If you don't have any, to be in your own interest to pass this stage to register a child in public school. So at least that gets your attention when you get into office. If you keep it as simple as that, I don't think anybody's going to go to court. He wants the job, he knows he has to pass that hurdle. So as long as we keep it simple, people will begin to see the message behind it. I think that's just one way to go about it. Education is a big issue. EMC went back to where we belong. We went to public school because there was a structure for it. I think the issue about education in this country today is not so difficult. It is that there is a lack of structure. You see, the day we began meddling with the quality of schools that we had, the day we began to play politics with the results of children who go into common entrance examination, common exams, and we begin to give preferential treatment to a certain sector of society, that was when we lost it. And we lost it big time, because today it went so bad that children who want to go to a particular school, their parents will hire people to go and sit for examination for them. That is how bad it went. So we need to look at the fundamentals in making the kind of impact that EMC is suggesting. Where did it go wrong? Let's start from there. If we can work for structure, where a structure is going to present a challenge to every state government, every federal government institution, you have to abide by this structure. Then perhaps we'll have a common structure, a common leverage, and everybody will know that one is not better than the other. I think that is where we need to look at issues from, because you make it extremely difficult for yourselves if at this stage you want to truncate what is going on. You need to build a new structure, something that will start from somewhere and continue to generate and then catch up with the lies that have been before it. It was not difficult at all when we were young. We had people who go and buy a syllabus. There are syllabus that was the basis of education for all schools. It was a federal government. Have you ever seen a government syllabus printed in recent times? They don't have any. Read the lessons you're supposed to follow through is all there in the syllabus, and it is common to all schools, public or private. There was corona in our own time. They were following the government syllabus. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You need to get to the structure. That's where we got it wrong. Until we go back there, we're just going to be looking for elitist kind of approach, and then us and them attitude and all that. That is the way to go about it. And I guess that's just one of the issues that we have to talk about. Power. We're in the age where even the rest of the world is looking for alternative source of energy. And we have so much of energy wasting here in our neck of the wood. The sun is a wasting energy. It's been wasting since we were born. Gas, we are flaring. We're burning gas. We've been burning in Olegiri since 1956. We've been flaring gas. Our dump sites generate methane gas every day. We haven't done anything about it. So I guess what we in the group here need to start to do is to prove that there are people who are thinking outside of the box. People who are thinking in the box are the ones still struggling to ensure that PHCN generates so much energy. Let us get outside of the box and start thinking outside of the box. In your local community, there are people who are willing to bring in alternative source of energy for your local community. There are groups, I know them, I have had contact with them. My last assignment when I was in Lagos State Government, I was Special Assistant to the Governor on Waste to Wealth projects. I started the waste conversion to fertilizer in Ikorodu, and it is still producing fertilizer to today. But since I left, it's been going comatose, because there are no interested people who want to push that across. It could go from the stage of producing fertilizer to producing energy. Very possible, because methane gas is generated as waste is decomposing. And you can trap the methane gas and use that to turn a turbine and generate electricity. The technology is available. It's not as if you're going to reinvent the wheel. So there are things that can be done. In local villages in India, that's how they produce electricity. Their waste heat becomes the source of the methane, and they get a turbine and they start generating electricity for the local village. It is very doable here. Harish Ande is an Indian. He has electrified at least 50,000 houses in villages in India with what? Solar cells. Very possible. There are things we can do here. It is just for us to get out of the box and start thinking outside the box. So if there are people who are passionate, who are knowledgeable enough, we can work together to begin making contacts and look for certain areas where we can do demonstrations of what can they achieve. This is the kind of thing we're talking about.
It is all right that we are here. I think what the gentleman said about having a voice is very important, because I know that there are so many seminars going on and they talk and talk and talk. I think as part of this committee, we must have another committee, if possible, of someone or some people who have some kind of influence that can make this passion get across to the right places. Otherwise, we'll just be here making noise as always, and then it will end nowhere. There's so much suggestion, there are so many good things, there are so many people passionate about this country who have no way of voicing it out. And the few that we can get, or as many people as we can get to get their voices, to make their voices heard, should not just die. Otherwise, we are getting discouraged. There must be a way of encouraging the young people, instead of going to have the national cake shared, of pushing their passion elsewhere, where they can not only have the cake, but have it legitimately and reduce corruption, reduce burglary, armed robbery, and make the environment conducive to everybody where we can all be happy. But there must be a way of getting this point across to the place where it can be effective. Otherwise, the passion will just grow and die again, and there will be no...
Interesting that the conversation is going as it is. But I'd like to bring us back to a big picture, which is what Bob started with. In the big picture, COPAD initiative proposes to be the voice, that takes the argument and the solutions forward. The committees are meant to articulate the solutions, coalesce those solutions, and deliver those solutions to the point that it will then be leveraged by conversation with certain authorities. I had a conversation here earlier on, and it has been echoed by Tokunbo and himself. We need to look about going around certain issues. We have articulated in great detail the problems. It is known to everyone. The question at hand is to take our collective thinking and direct it. We have several committees here, but I think there's a missing element, which is a political committee. That committee must be charged with articulating our points of influence. Otherwise, it's all a waste of time. And quite frankly, I don't waste my time. There are many things I should do with it. This is my good friend. These are my good friends. And within this space and within the space of Nigeria, we have extremely competent people. We must stop having conversations and start taking action. It is an absolute waste of time. We need to have a political committee that will then address these matters at levels that are appropriate to each of the questions. Having had the committees solve the problem, articulate in an audit what the issues are. We're very good at doing that. We must have leverage, otherwise we're not going to get there.
We do have a committee that is in charge of advocacy, electoral reform, and judiciary. That's what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, that's a different matter from what I'm talking about.
And I believe what he's saying.
Yes.
That's a little different from what I'm
We
saying.
need a...
Let me help you.
Okay.
What Bade is saying is echoing precisely the point that he made earlier. Truly and truly, in government, in America they call them political lobbyists. That's what they call them. And that's the point Bade is making. We need a group that is going to be the political lobbyists. And usually that's the group that gets the result. You could do as much as have a newspaper that is talking about what you're doing. You're not getting the point there. The political lobbyists know when to have dinner with the president. And they know when to be in the swimming pool with the Minister of Finance. And they know a little of these twists and turns that help you to get the message to that person who's going to give the action. That's the point.
Yeah, we'll certainly try to look into that. But what can we get done? And we've achieved about 2 or 3 drafts. The lobbyist, yes, of course, that would be another extension. But we can look at the power, we can look at the education, we're getting some results. Listen.
I was going to say, there's safety in numbers. You have to choose your battles. Going back to the education one, this is another idea I have. We know that in those days, a lot of the schools were owned by missions, Christians and Muslims. They were the Ansarudins, the CN, whatever you want to call them. Now, I'm thinking that another starting point for the education committee will be to locate, I know that each of those denominations that have schools will have somebody in charge of education. We need to engage them because I am sure I've spoken to somebody close but not too close. I am sure they have the concerns that we have as well. Because the problem with the schools, it's not just the government not funding, there's so many things. The teachers themselves, it's a value system problem. And it's not just about giving the children good education. There's a delinquency in the homes, a lot of homes as well. And bad parents beget bad children. Tomorrow, I'm going to a school in Osborne, the government school in Osborne, because a few friends and I have decided to join the Brownies and Girls Guides again. And one of the things we'll be doing will be to go and meet with them at that level, and then, have little talks and teach values again, because values are missing. And values you don't just learn in school, you learn from home. So I'm thinking if we engage these missions and form, without prejudice to what they've said, that we need political lobbies, but there's also a role for pressure groups. I don't see how a PFN, the Anglican Communion, the Methodists, the Ansarudins can come together and be yelling something about education, and people will not listen to them. Because first and foremost, all those people in government belong to one or two of these parishes. And what we just need to do is to get your bishop to call you, get your imam or alfa to call you and say, this is what we want to do. So I'm thinking, maybe for the education, we need to engage those missions. Let's use them also as another platform and work with them. What are the challenges they are facing in terms of education? Because a lot of the children they are attracting now are not the sort of children they attract. They like to attract the mixed bag. But I'm sure what they have now, they wish that's not all what they have. They would prefer to go back to the good old days. Thank you.
My name is Lola Amao. People taking, I don't see notes being taken about what's been said here, and I noticed that from the past meetings, action points and bullets have not been circulated amongst people who can forward them to their friends and colleagues. So I think really we need to have maybe like a flip charts next time we're meeting, and people should be able to track what's going on. If somebody walked in the door 10 minutes after the meeting started, they should know where we are and where we're going, and we should circulate information more amongst ourselves. I also need to say that I've actually been involved in the Save Nigeria group, and that's a very proactive group that's trying to save Nigeria, just like we're trying to save Nigeria here as well in our own way. But I honestly think there has to be some alignment and collaboration with people who have shared vision and goals, because there's strength in numbers. And strategy really, and getting the attention of government at this very sensitive time in the life of the governance of Nigeria, when we're about to have a new government in place in 2011, is basically to have a voice at the level where you have to be reckoned with. And that takes numbers, takes ideas, and strategy and positioning. And the action really is in Abuja. I must say, we're doing a lot of talking here in Lagos, but I must say, really, the action is in Abuja. And we will be able to change things in Lagos, yes. But if we want to change things in Abuja, we must have a voice in Abuja. And that's where this political lobbies type of agenda comes in very, very important. I think we need to get people to commit themselves, commit their time, so it's not just coming to talk, and then to actually let us have links. Who do you know in the House of Assembly? Who do you know in the House of Senate? Who do you know at the level of communication with the decision makers in governance today and tomorrow, that we can engage and get their attention to make this change, so that we're not just talking in isolation and far away from where the action is. So I think those are some things I've noticed that we're not doing. We need to, so if there's a rally in Abuja whereby maybe the Save Nigeria group is going to be taking some points to, why can't Coalition for COPAD have its own banner and its own people there? And why can't we talk to the press at such a rally with proper permission and authorization from the Save Nigeria group that we agree with some of their points or we're in alignment with what they're doing? Visibility is so key in the next 1 year, and we need to be more active about what we're doing if we're to be taken seriously at all. Thank you very much.
Political influence is, nobody is trying to say that is unimportant. It's very, very important. Okay? But the other side we must not overlook is what can we do at our level? You see, like I said before, what we try to do here is to develop templates. If, for instance, in the education sector, somebody talked about, in fact, they do it in America, they call them charter schools, where government will give a special grant to a school because they set certain yardsticks for them. We can do the same thing. This can be private sector funded. Just like you said, okay, this school, if you do well in school, we're going to do this and this and this. We make that provision. And that can become a model that we can then begin to use for other schools. That is something within our capability. We don't need any government for that. We don't need anybody. That is within our capability. So let us start from where we are, and we get results. The thing you suggested as well is well within our capability. You don't need government permission to use to do waste to electricity. If we do that in a particular village, another village say, hey, wait a minute, this thing is working in this village. Can we do the same thing here? And already we're getting results. If we had started that 10 years ago, I'm sure we probably have over 200 villages using that concept. And so we're not waiting for one government, we're at least doing something where we are. What can we do within our capability? While we're okay, yeah, we need to lobby government people, yes, we'll do that. But that's it, let us start from where we are. Yes.
All right, sir. I'm still on education, please.
Yes.
To education and the local government chairman, the education minister, local government chairman, requesting to see their budget for the year in order to make contributions and effective allocation and disposal, and to share our own ideas and visions with them. Then we agreed to adopt a public school and follow them up as until they reach the standard of education that we are expected to see. Already, we did that sometime. We did that in 2008 and 2009 with my group. After primary school in Oshobi, we got there and we noticed that at the back of the classes, that was where their toilet is. As in, I'm talking about not even latrine. I'm talking about on bare floor. So we took that project with my friends and we reformed that school. The second one we did last year was former Muslim college in Shoki area. We did 1 year training for them because the report was that anytime they do inter-house sport or wine or whatever, they must break the head of one teacher or something. There was, something was happening. So we now saw that rebranding Nigeria is not rebranding structure, it's rebranding the mind. So we engaged in their minds at 1 year. So after we pushed it, but I believe very strongly there is nothing that is impossible. It is irresponsibility that makes a man become a liability. Because we are irresponsible, we become liability to the society. We pushed this legislation, Lagos State government, I followed it up to Alausa, and today we changed the name of that school. And permit me to say this, one of the things we saw spiritually was that name, something somehow happened, and there is something that is happening to them. So we changed it to Movers College, and today it's accepted and the name has been changed. So these are the proactive measures that we are taking.
Area which is education and power. The last time we had this meeting, I was in the education committee. Permit me, I will not take it as ignorance that I've not been able to get any communication for a meeting from that committee, and most of those things you are saying, I agree with them totally. Even though one of my key major important area is human capital development. I know we are talking about the roots at this level, we are the basic, which is fantastic. But my key important area is we are having an expanded knowledge gap in this country on a daily basis. And one of the major things that maybe that will be for the future, because we already have two things, and because of the way things have been today, I don't want to go into some other new areas. I'm supposed to be talking more about the financial markets. I've been more passionate about this area for almost a decade. And for those that have been very vigilant, I've been on TV, media, and sending articles around that. Except we start looking at this, like we are talking about power, education. So these key areas needed finances. Except we put our financial markets in order, we are going to wake up one day, we're just going to have an idea that is worth throwing into the latrine. The other day, when Soludo, with all due respect, came in with the recapitalization and universal banking, some of us, we are fighting. I know one of the major things that was lacking them, maybe there was no particular organized structure like this to engage the CBN governor. Until today, we have never seen an organized sector in this nation that will be able to engage both the CBN governor in terms of the monetary policy and the ministers of finance in terms of the fiscal policy. Because like we keep saying, if there's no credit in an economy, like what we are seeing now, people are going to, let me just be busy, people will lose their jobs. Manufacturer or even entrepreneur will not be able to get credit facility. And that goes in, these are interwoven, we call it, I mean a chain reaction. But not in this country today, people usually look at that area, we just ignore it. Finances is not really the issue, but it is the life wire of every economy. Because for us to have looked out at this level, like the other day we are engaging Soludo individually, the man will not be able to take anything serious from an individual person. You are just a lone ranger. And the only thing we discussed with him then is, this country is not having infrastructure in place. You want to bring in money. Infrastructure is the major key thing government needs to focus on in this nation. They have to do anything. That's why, with all due respect, I give some kudos to the present governors of Lagos State. If you face infrastructure, other things can come. See, like I was telling one of my colleagues this morning, we know the way people that works in Manhattan, they will then took train of 1 hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get even to Wall Street. It's like living in Ilorin and you are working in Lagos. It is not a problem because there's a troop I will just enter into 1.5 hours. I'm in my office. Because there's no point in me getting a house. There was no point in me buying renting a house in Ikoyi and pay 3 million, 5 million per annum. I can pay 120,000 naira for the same in Ilorin. Better environment, no noise, and I can come here in no time. This is what we are facing. There's no point in people actually, that's why when people blame bankers. Bankers cannot grow, they cannot do anything. Because if they give you money as an entrepreneur, the major of your money will go to power. It will go to rent. Before you know what is happening, it is gone. So how would they want to give you money? That's why some of them have to misbehave and put the money to say, these guys don't need capital, they don't need fresh money. What we need is government to put in the infrastructure in place. And I believe as this corporate start going on, we're going to focus or probably zero in on those key, major, important areas. Infrastructure is very key in this nation. Without it, there's no amount of money you ask the banks to raise. Because people we can do it. And secondly, like the other area I was mentioning, I want to actually share with the education community is the human capital. I'm sorry to say today in Nigeria, Nigerians we don't have the human capital to drive universal banking or any other banking or any other thing they are doing. So we need to actually go back to the basic of finding a group like this to start calling people like CBN when they come out with the policy. To start talking to people like Minister of Finance. I said today, if you go to the website of Federal Ministry of Finance, they don't have the budget of last year in that particular place, approved budget. They don't have the supplementary for this, the Federal Ministry of Finance, which we have to go. This time we need to be able to engage them, sit them down. Now somebody was saying the recurrent budget is having over 75%, recurrent. In a neighborhood we need infrastructure, we're talking about 25% recurrent, 75% capital. Maybe by the grace of God, with the way we are going, we can now be global, we can now call people like Minister of Finance, sit down. Let's look at your budget. What is going to infrastructure? Who is taking who? And key major importantly, the monetary policy that affects you and I, how credit move with the system. We can engage CBN. Today, nobody ever engage CBN government as a group. Everybody was just looking at the myopic picture. They are not looking at the big picture. We need to have, like, if you call the CBN, we need to have a meeting with you. Let us have your policy. Like when this whole thing was happening, you want to do this. What are your plans? Where do you go from here? Let us be able to share ideas with them. Their own library today is Soludo till the leaves. No group is going to organize a seminar and everybody just clap their hands and go. We need to be able to sit them down. You are going to bring down this area, bring the bank, universal banking.